But I can only imagine, mate, that we won't sell Gakpo until we have our business done. And then it would be a late deal with him going in another direction. It seems like Manchester City aren't following through based off what's in the media with their interest in Gakpo. I know DiMarzio and Romano, I think it was, said there were conversations with Gakpo's agents, with Manchester City officials, but I don't know. Like, the whole thing just feels very strange. Why is everybody leaving it this late? I don't understand it. Like, it doesn't make for good strategic planning, does it? Because usually when you're in a desperate scramble at the end of the window, you usually end up missing out on something. You know, last year it was Mark A. This year, who knows? We'll wait and see. But it never feels like it ends well when you're in a crazy, chaotic end of the window trying to get things done. Somebody always gets nervy last minute, changes their mind, changes or moves the goalpost, puts the price up. And then we all get angry about it. And it's just tiring every single year to go through the same thing with the club when we've had 12 weeks. 12 weeks to get it done. It's called the World Cup. But that's just ridiculous, mate. The World Cup doesn't stop anything. Like, we've had this debate all summer. So because of the World Cup, which ended in July, we have nobody signed in the last week of the window. Nobody else in. That's what you're trying to tell me with a straight face. Doesn't matter that every other club across Europe have been able to go out there and get deals done. Paris Saint-Germain have restocked their whole front line. United have put in a whole new midfield. Chelsea have signed how many players? But we're supposed to believe it's the World Cup. I'll let you on a little secret, mate. Liverpool or any club don't just start deciding on their transfer targets after the summer holidays end. They've been working on these things for months and months and months and months and months. So where's the fruits of it? Where's the data-led recruitment team that's so highly praised for being the best in the business? What have they done to help the club? How has their research, data-led research, worked for us? If you want to say it's the World Cup, that's just another excuse that you're willing to accept as a fan. And that's your right to do that, mate. It's your right to accept that excuse. But I don't buy it. And I'm not accepting it as an excuse because every year with our club, there's another excuse. And I'm fucking sick of them as a fan. I'm fed up of false promises. I'm fed up of excuses. And I'm fed up of our managers having to overachieve. I'd like them to be backed properly and see what happens. So, like I said, we all view these things through our own eyes. I'm not saying what I'm saying is a fact. I'm giving you my opinion. If you think the World Cup was the reason for it, cool. But if the business doesn't get done, how are you going to feel about it then? That's what I'm saying. Every club hasn't had their most ideal window. Right, so you still haven't answered any of the things I've put back to you, though. If you have something you'd like to debate, let's talk about it. No problem, mate. But all you're saying is vague phrases that don't have any substance to them. So I've given you a list of loads of other clubs who've done loads of business, and your best response is, but bro, every other club hasn't had their best transfer window. I don't give a fuck about any other club. I care about Liverpool's business. And I have 8 years of doing this now and a sample size of being underwhelmed by FSG in pretty much every window. So I don't have benefit of the doubt to give them. I don't have benefit of the doubt to give Richard Hughes because he's shite at his job and should have been fired. I don't have the benefit of the doubt for the owners who had a multi-club system and paid somebody multi-millions of pounds to go around Europe looking at football clubs that they decided not to bother pursuing. So I just don't have it. But you crack on, like I said. If you're calm about it, brilliant. But don't come in when we're losing games of football because we've no midfield and starting to call for the manager's head. Now is the time to call for the signings. Now is the time to hold the owners and the recruitment team to account. And if you're not willing to do it, cool. But then don't moan when the season starts and we don't get the results. The Notorious, thank you, bro. Stevie boy, how are you today, sir? Who starts in a double pivot on the weekend? For me, Trey has to start. So I've been thinking about this a little bit, Stevie boy, and I've been thinking about it from kind of something that somebody threw into our Discord and I put it into my head. Is there a world against Forest where it would be worth our while to do the unthinkable and play Szoboszlai at right back and put Gravenberch and McAllister in midfield with Wirtz ahead? Yeah, that's that's where my head's at with it, because I thought, look, the double pivot shit means nothing to me at this point, because it's just words. We need to see that balance, and we need to see somebody mopping up in front of the back four. And if it doesn't matter who's going to be in that position, they're going to be bombing forward anyway. I think the same issues are still here. Again, mate, you're giving me half sentences and you're boring. You can't debate the point, so you're resorting to insults because you have no point. Just leave the adults to the conversations. If you want to come in and just throw around random phrases, crack on. But I tried to interact with you. I tried to talk about your point. But you just don't have any substance to what you're saying. So carry on, crack on. But like I said, if we have a debate, we have a debate. We don't have to agree. We can do it courteously. And I've tried to. I've come across and said, I think X, Y, Z. You said, but bro, vague, bro. And I said, that's garbage. So just admit you don't have a point and we can crack on. It's good. Doesn't need to get personal, mate. If you're happy for nothing to happen, brilliant. You do you. I just think it's not good enough for a manager. And I don't want another season where we underachieve because of a lack of resources. And we've had too many of them. And I think at a club like ours, which is now valued at about £6 billion, expecting us to kind of have mid-Premier League table expenditure when everybody else is out there dropping huge sums of money on players, I feel a little bit underwhelmed as a fan. And I feel a little bit worried for our manager. And I feel a little bit worried that injuries are going to increase over the course of the season when players are burned out. And then you see the stats from the first weekend and we're outrun by 18 other Premier League teams yet again. These are things that are warning signs for me about the future. And I fully want Iriola to do well. But when you hear, like, we signed a manager who's overachieved at other clubs constantly over and over again, that's a warning sign to me. Because why are we constantly bringing in managers that always have to overachieve? Like, think about it. Klopp came in, and at that point, an overachiever was great. Because an overachiever then was what we needed, and Klopp dragged us along. So then Klopp got us there. We won the league. We were in Champions League finals, won the Champions League. Klopp said he was departing. So at that point, to me, logically, I want the best manager out there in the world to come in to run one of the biggest football clubs in the world. But what did we get? We got another project. Somebody who'd overachieved in the Eredivisie. And because of that overachievement, because of being able to go out there and outperform clubs that have spent bigger money, he was brought in. And then move on to the next manager. So Slot gets fired, and then we move on to Andoni Iriola. Again, why was he given the job? Brand of football, but also because he overachieved at every job. I think it's a fair point, because they want projects. They want managers that can improve players because they don't want to do what needs to be done in giving them players for the here and now. That's the way I see it. That's the way I've seen it for the last few years. And if you have a really good recruitment team, like the years when Michael Edwards was at his best and Klopp was doing his thing, then it can work out. But if everything isn't in harmony, which the recruitment isn't at the minute and the contract situations haven't been, I think that makes for a concerning future. That's just my 2 cents for what it's worth. Right, let's go back into this poll anyway. What will be a fair price for Gakpo if he's sold? So 51% of people said £80 million or upwards. And thank you to everyone that took the time to vote. Don't sell at all, 23%, 70 million, 21%, 60 million. I think it's 5 or 6%. I couldn't see it from here. I get it, and I'm with you guys on that. Because for me, if there's a world where I'm supposed to believe Savinho's worth 85 million, then I want that for Cody Gakpo at a bare minimum. Because, you've set the value in the market, and Gakpo's better than Savinho, so I would expect more money.